Chapter 4 of The Mystery of Pain. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ethan D. Gilkey. We have noticed before how love is capable in some degree of overruling our natural feelings of pain and making some things that otherwise would be painful a source of joy to themselves, if they are to produce the benefit to others whom we delight to serve. When we look into this subject farther, we see that it is the law of our experience that our own mental condition controls and even alters our feelings. Though we speak of pleasure and pain as fixed and definite things, yet they are truly by no means fixed. It is a matter of familiar experience that various circumstances may modify our sensibility in respect to things which are, in our ordinary state, painful. The power of mental excitement in this respect is well known. A soldier wounded during battle may feel no immediate suffering from the severest injury, and we have everyday proof of the same thing in the failure of slight accidents to pain us when we are intently occupied. All strong emotions, indeed, seem to have a similar power. It can scarcely be doubted that the martyrs have sometimes gone through their flaming death in ecstasy. In the accounts we have of that fanatical sect in the East, one part of whose devotions consists in working themselves into a frenzy, and then laying on glowing iron, dancing with their hands, and putting it to their lips, indicate not only the absence of pain in the act, but even some kind of pleasure. It would seem, indeed, that there is nothing that can be said to be always or necessarily a cause of pain. What we can truly say on this point is that there are certain things which are painful to our bodily senses when they are not controlled or modified by the state of mind. It is as truly our nature not to feel pain from the ordinarily painful things at some times as it is to feel them painful at others. In this respect, the power of love to take away pain is not peculiar. Love, when it is strong, can banish pain, but in this it is only like all strong emotions. It is peculiar in its power of making what is ordinarily painful a source of joy, and this joy of the highest and most exquisite kind. We all know this. We are not only willing, we rejoice, to bear an ordinarily painful thing for the benefit or pleasure of one whom we intensely love. Within certain limits, indeed, but still most truly, that bearing pain for such an end is a privilege to be sought, not a sorrow to be shunned. Universal experience proves this. It is one of the broad familiar features of human life. But when we consider this, do we not see that our natural feelings mislead us when they pronounce pleasant things to be good ones, and painful ones evil? So far from this being the case, things that we call painful, that are painful in our ordinary state, are essential conditions of our highest good. To us, there could be no love without them. We could never have felt the joy, never have had even the idea of love, if sacrifice had been impossible to us. In our truest and intensest happiness, that which is otherwise felt as pain is present. Pain, we may say, is latent in our highest state. It lies hidden and unfelt in the form of devoted sacrifice, but it is there, and it would make itself felt as pain if the love which finds joy in bearing it were absent. Take, for example, the offices rendered with joy by a mother to her babe. Let the love be wanting, and what remains? Not mere indifference, but vexation, labor, annoyance. A gladly accepted pain is in the mother's love. It is in all love that does not contradict the name. To take away from us the possibility of that which we feel as pain, or to take its best part from life, to render it almost, surely altogether, worthless. The possibility of love is given to us in our power of sacrifice, and loving brings the power into immediate action. To beings constituted as we are, the possibility of love can be given only through the power of sacrifice. Our highest happiness consists in the feeling that another's good is purchased by us, that we, our labour or our loss, are the instrument through which it is conferred. Take away that element, and the joy alters its character, and becomes inevitably less. We may still rejoice and be glad in the good fortune of the beloved object, but we can no more rejoice in giving it at our own expense. In our best happiness, then, what we otherwise term pain is swallowed up. It is embodied and mixed up in joy. For do we not despise and loathe a man whose only thought in that which he calls love is the pleasure he can receive? And further, by taking away the love, its sacrifices would be felt as pain. Pain emerges or comes out from this joy by a taking away or absence. And its presence, to one who should be loving, might imply no evil state around him, but only something wanting in himself. For the very same thing may be to us either painful or in the highest degree productive of a delight which could not be without them. Remembering these things, then, what should we consider the presence of pain in the world to mean? Does it not mean that there is a want in man by which that becomes painful which should be joy? Does it not mean that a world in which so much pain is present, is adapted, is altogether made to be the scene of an overpowering and absorbing love? One element of the best happiness is given, namely, sacrifice. What does it imply but that the other should be present too? The other, which is love. Let us think then of ourselves. Our natural feeling prompts us to exclude all painful things, to found a bliss upon their absence. But is not this an utter error, and were not its achievement fatal? Surely a truer knowledge lays its fullest and intensest grasp upon the painful elements of life, and holds them as the fundamental conditions of joy. The reason we are made, or seem as if we are made, for pain, is that we were made for love. The predominance of sacrifice is a sign and proof upon how good a plan the world was formed, upon how high a type of bliss. Our feeling it as pain proves something wanting in ourselves. Doubtless we are right to loathe and repudiate pain, and count its endurance an evil. To be happy is good, to feel pain is evil, and a sign of evil. God meant us for the one, meant us to abhor and shrink from the other. But the question is, what is the happiness God has meant us for? The happiness to which human nature is fitted, to which it should aspire? Should it be that from which the painful is banished, or that in which the pain is latent? Should pain be merely absent, or swallowed up in love and turned to joy? Surely we can answer but in one way. To wish the former were to choose the lesser good, to cut ourselves off from our chief prerogative. If God truly loved man, must he not have him such that by want of love pain should arise, and that to him, ignorant and unloving as he is, the world should be one dark mystery of sorrow? How else should he have made us capable of joy? How else made the earth tolerable in the eyes of heaven, in the eyes of that heaven which gazes on the Lamb that was slain, and sees unamazed in him the brightness of the Father's glory, the express image of his person? For if in the only worthy joy, the only happiness which, matching the dignity of man or filling his capacity, rightly deserves the name of human, if in this there is necessarily latent the element of pain, so that by absence it must be felt, if in human joy pain is absorbed and taken up, not merely excluded or set aside, then we must once rise in our thoughts above ourselves. If this is our joy, then it is his also, in whose image we were made. The pain that is latent in man's bliss is latent too in God's, in his most as he is highest. And the great life and death to which the eyes of men are ever turned, or wandering ever are recalled, reveals it to us. We see it must be so. If God would show us himself, he He must show us himself as a sufferer, as taking what we call pain and loss. These are his portion. From eternity he chose them. The life Christ shows us is the eternal life. He emptied himself, and the pain became manifest. He put off his perfection, and the sorrow was hidden and lost in the fullness of his life no more. It was revealed as sorrow, becoming visible to human eyes, piercing the immortal heart before a breathless world, which, seeing him, sees and knows the Father. Thus our own experience may solve for us the problem, how God is incapable of suffering, and yet reveals himself to us as a sufferer. The seeming contradiction here is only that which the intellect encounters in everything that is true of our own life. Love cannot be explained, made manifest of what nature it is, the secret of its happiness revealed, except by exhibition of toil, the abnegation, the sacrifice that are in it. Seeking for happiness, craving for good, we grasp at pleasure and turn away from pain. God must teach us better, and to do so, he shows us the root and basis of his own. Stripping off his infinitude and taking infirmity like ours, he bids us look and see. The only happiness he has, or can bestow, bears martyrdom within it. If he does not suffer, it is only that his life is perfect. His love has no hindrance, no shortcoming, and can turn all sacrifice to joy. He stands our great example, not exempting himself from toils and sacrifices which he lays on us, binding heavy burdens and grievous to be borne upon men's shoulders, himself not touching one, but with so large a heart accepting them, that they are transfigured into the very brightness of his glory, and our dim eyes cannot discern them, save as they are shown us with the brightness veiled, the glory banished, the love itself subdued to a less burning flame, revealed therein in strong crying and tears, that recall our experience to ourselves. He makes us know with which part of it to link his name. It is sacrifice binds us to God, and makes us most like him. Sacrifice that to us is sorrow, wanting life and love, but to him, supreme in both, is joy. And when we say pain is an evil, we can only rightly mean that our feeling it to be pain is an evil. That marks defect and want, failure of our proper manhood, shortcoming from our privilege of joy. From pain we may well seek and pray to be delivered, but by what deliverance? It may be banished in two ways, by taking away or by adding. Pain may be removed passively by the removal of that which is its cause, letting us relapse into mere repose, which may seem joy by contrast, or by deadening of the sensibility, that shall banish alike pain and pleasure. But it may also be removed actively, positively, not by the absence of the cause, nor by diminished feeling, but by a new and added power, which shall turn into joy, a joy like God's. In the presence of pain, the basis is laid of an exquisite delight. Should we not seek it? Should we not believe that God will give it? If the thought seem too great for us, is it not therefore more befitting him, more like what we have learnt of him? And if he must new create us in order to give us happiness like this, has he not promised to create us anew? Nay, do we not find here confirmation of his promise, finding our need for its fulfillment? Since love, then, is in sacrifice, we see that to creatures such as we are, failing of our manhood, pain must be. We see our Maker, assuming our condition in order that we may know him, also assumes, and must assume, our sorrow preeminent therein. We see, too, that deliverance from pain must be wrought out within. It must be a change of life, and not of circumstance. However the latter may be altered, till love itself shall change, this fact can never alter, that only in the form of that which we call sacrifice can our true good be given us. Whatever else may pass or change, of this we may be sure, that till God cease to love us, we shall stand face to face with sacrifice. Of this, as of our Maker's presence, we may say, If I ascend into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in Hades, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning, and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. For where God is, there is love. End of chapter 4 of The Mystery of Pain. Recording by Ethan D. Gilkey.